Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Z-Cast. And today, it is Monday, August 18th, 2025. And today, we are talking about none other than the Green Bay Packers, coming off an 11-6 regular season record last season. Now, last year was an up and down year for the Green Bay Packers. We did see there's Jordan Love's second full season as the full-time starter for the Green Bay Packers. Now, he did suffer some injuries, especially early on in week 2. I believe actually it was week 1 in their opening game loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. I believe Jordan Love suffered a knee injury in that loss, so he did miss the first couple games of the regular season. And he did also get injured, I believe, towards the end of the regular season last year. I think he was dealing with some kind of elbow injury. So, again, was never fully healthy last season. I think that is part of the reason why we did sort of see him. Took a bit of a down year. Good. If you guys remember his first year starting, the Packers, Jordan Love led them on an upset win against Dallas in the playoffs and then went toe-to-toe with the 49ers in the divisional round. And almost, again, the Packers had a shot to win that game back in 2023 against the 49ers in that divisional game. Of course, that was Jordan Love's first year as a full-time starter. So, I'm not going to say he took a step back. I think a big part of it was the injuries. Now, he did also have 25 touchdowns, which is not bad. Obviously, a lot of guys will take that. Pretty solid amount of touchdowns. And another issue for the Packers that cost them was their wide receivers had some crucial drops, especially in big-time moments of games last season. Now, some of these drops did potentially cost the Packers some games. Especially we saw guys like Christian Watson and Jayden Reed, probably their top 2 receivers last year. They did, have some pretty crucial drops. So obviously that did not help Jordan Love last season. Of course, also the Packers signed some pretty big names last offseason. They signed Josh Jacobs, who brought an explosiveness to their offense. Now they actually, they had Aaron Jones for a long time, but I think Josh Jacobs brought a different level of explosiveness to this offense that they much needed because they've always had a very solid offensive line. It's never been an issue with the Packers. They always build a very strong offensive line. But now adding an explosive running back like Josh Jacobs, he scored 15 touchdowns on his own last year. I mean, it says enough on its own now. Just bringing that level of explosiveness brings a new energy to the offense. And the Packers always have a solid running defense, always have a solid defense in general, but especially their run defense was very effective last season. Now, heading into the 2025 season for the Packers, this team is another team that doesn't have a whole lot of holes. You could say, yeah, they did end up losing Jair Alexander. Of course, he did sign with my Ravens. So, they replaced him by signing cornerback from the Raiders, cornerback Nate Hobbs, who I do like very much. Now, I believe he is injured right now, so he will not be out on the field early on in the season. But he is a guy that I like to have a pretty big impact on this team when he is healthy. And they also signed, actually, I mentioned they signed him in 2024, but a guy I like on their team, Xavier McKinney, who was still a pretty young safety, who the Giants, again, let him go last year as well. And the Packers scooped him up. And I believe he led the team, possibly led the NFL with, I believe he had 8 interceptions. So, again, a very solid year for him. And, again, he was a pretty good signing for their defense last season. And they also signed another veteran wide receiver. They signed Mecole Hardman to help line up their their wide receiver room. Now, again, as mentioned before, their wide receiver room was a bit questionable last year. They still don't seem to have a wide receiver 1. It's always kind of a mix. They have a bunch of wide receiver 2s. And last season, the most productive wide receiver, I would say, was either Romeo Doubs or Jayden Reed. But, of course, we did see both of these guys struggle with crucial drops. And it seems that all the Packers wide receivers last season had some bad drops that cost them some games. They also have a guy I'm a big fan of is Dontavian Wicks, pretty underrated guy out of Virginia Tech. And a guy I mentioned before who also has dealt with some injuries his career is Christian Watson, who, when healthy, has the potential to be a wide receiver 1. But also, again, guys like Jayden Reed, absolutely, big-time threats, deep threats down the field. These guys are absolutely guys you obviously want to have on your offense, especially when they have 2 absolute dogs at tight end. They got Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, 2 absolute dogs at tight end, both great blockers and great pass protectors as well. So obviously some weapons for Jordan Love. And guys, a guy that I am very, very excited about. The Packers did something they have not done in my lifetime is they took a wide receiver in the first round of the draft. And not just any wide receiver. They took none other than Matthew Golden, the stud slot speedster from Texas, Matthew Golden. I think this guy has the potential to unlock something in this Packers offense that we have not seen with Jordan Love yet. Now, absolutely, I think Matthew Golden could slide into that wide receiver 1 spot pretty soon, as soon as week 1 of the regular season. He has that much potential. But obviously, you pair him next to Romeo Doubs, again, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. They have so many weapons, it feels like they can't go wrong with these receivers. They have so many of them. And the guys, another receiver they took in the 3rd round, Savion Williams, a big deep threat out of TCU, another wide receiver. You know, the Packers always find stud receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round, so watch out for Mr. Savion Williams to be another impact rookie receiver for this team. Now, they always, again, seem to have a very solid defense. I'm not too worried about their defense. Could argue that they have some very solid defensive guys like Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, a guy I really like is Quay Walker, a young guy on the edge, Quay Walker. They addressed the much-needed position at wide receiver in the draft. Now, I've always kind of said they should target a guy like T. Higgins. I would have loved if the Bengals did not re-sign T. Higgins. I would love the Packers to be aggressive and get T. Higgins because I think like T. Higgins could unlock something to this offense. But no, I think Matthew Golden could definitely unlock something in Jordan Love in this offense. Again, get him a deep threat down the field, guy who's really got sure hands, some of the best hands coming out of college. Obviously, again, a reason for the Packers. They need guys who can catch the ball. And the Packers, again, they do play in the toughest division in football, the NFC North. And none other they open the season home against the Detroit Lions. Again, a very tough opponent to open your season, especially a divisional game. And then they play the Commanders week 2. So right off the bat, home against the Lions and home against the Commanders. So we got some very good playoff teams coming into Lambeau to start the season. And I believe they play week 3 at the Brownies. So of course, the Browns probably don't have a quarterback named. So we'll see how that goes. But in terms of the Packers, I expect them to be a very solid team, especially like they were last season. And again, I do have them going 11-6, just like last year, and I do have them finishing 2nd in the NFC North division. So obviously, great for the Packers. I really think the addition of Matthew Golden will unlock something special in this offense. I'd keep an eye on him, especially another guy, Savion Williams, another receiver. Especially this defense. Always have a very solid defense for the Packers. Xavier McKinney, Rashawn Gary, very guys that can get to the quarterback and create some pressure on the quarterback. So, also expecting big things out of Josh Jacobs, as we saw last year. Again, really great addition to this offense. Now, another rookie they had last year, rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd, who I am also a big fan of. He, unfortunately, I believe he missed the entire season last year, and he unfortunately also got hurt this training camp. So I'm not sure if we'll see much of him this season. But again, he's a guy I look forward to going next to Josh Jacobs in the backfield to bring a pretty significantly powerful running back duo. Now, before we end today's video, I do want to say I'm very sorry to Brandon Young. If you guys caught last week's video, I was very disrespectful towards Brandon Young, the Orioles starter. Now, Mr. Brandon Young took a perfect game through 7 2/3 innings in Houston against the Astros on Friday night. 7 2/3 perfect baseball. Absolutely amazing stuff. Now, unfortunately, he did try to get cute and make a crazy play. It was a great effort, but probably should have let Jordan Westburg handle that ball. But still, it was an absolutely great play. And the O's took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. In my opinion, kicked their ass. We'll take it. Especially in that game on Saturday, they could have possibly won in extras as well. But they fought very tough, and they were competitive in all 3 games against the Astros. Now, tonight we are headed up to Fenway Park to take on the Boston Red Sox. And we'll be seeing Trevor Rogers, who looks like an Orioles ace. He's completely turned it around. Trevor Rogers has been absolutely amazing this season for the O's. And he'll be taking on Dustin May. And one more thing for the O's. Welcome to the show, Dylan Beavers and Samuel Basayo. Both these guys got called up over the weekend, and they both have been hitting the ball great through 2 games. So keep an eye on these guys for the O's. It's great to see these young guys get an opportunity to shine at the end of the season. And, of course, we hope the O's can continue to play Mr. Spoiler and beat the Boston Red Sox. So that's going to do it tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. And this has been an episode of The Z-Cast. Thank you, guys.